Decoy Pricing.
Okay, yeah, right, yeah.
You know, and I just want to briefly, touch on that. That anchoring is the concept where you create higher priced options for similar items, and there's lots of different examples. One is like if you walk into some fancy clothing outlet, and let's say you go into whatever, I don't know these brands. I'm not a fashion guy, but even though I own a fashion business,
It's sort of irrelevant. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I didn't know a thing about like sales when we started Backbeat, and that was I will tell you that was super helpful because I couldn't do the job. I had to delegate. I had to hire people that knew how to do this better than me. Over the years,
next week's show,
I learned how to do sales, and that actually started to hurt the business because I started becoming a micromanager with it. Well,
good. Save that thought.
Okay,
because next week we're going to do a show all about delegating, and your comment is really spot on about one of the reasons or how delegation works.
Well, I hope you folks are going to want to listen. I'm definitely going to want to listen to next week because I am the one that has the most to learn in this regard. So
we'll see. So with anchoring, let's say, you go into the Louis Vuitton store or whatever, and they're selling bags and clothes and everything. And there's t-shirts or shirts, let's say, that are, $250. And you think, wow, man, $250 for a t-shirt. But then you go over and there's a rack with t-shirts that are $75. And even though you're like, wow, $75, but compared to those, that's a good deal, right? Compared to the $250 shirt. So they're pushing you to that lower priced item and they're tricking you into thinking that's a value because you're comparing it to that anchor item. Apple famously did this with the $10,000 gold Apple Watch, right? And it's ridiculous. But when you look compared to that, you look down like, well, these are 500, whatever they were when they first came out.
Yeah.
You want to set their expectation. It's also one of the reasons why car manufacturers have so many different levels of high-end cars. And having just gone through this, I just bought a car last week from my wife.
Yep.
And you just see it, how they're anchoring you. Well, this version is, X, $10,000 more than this, and you get all these little, all these extra things, but they're pushing you to, I would imagine, well, I don't know what their most profitable line is, but it's one way to get you comfortable with spending a certain dollar amount that maybe you wouldn't, because you think that's a good deal compared to X. So think about how you might, change people, like maybe in my case, in the service business, if you had our standard turnaround time, let's say you did 2 or 3 days and that was $100, for example, and then you had this 24-hour turnaround time that was $150, but then you had like a 2-hour turnaround time that was $300, right? And you're pushing people to that 24-hour spot because that was our sweet spot. So there's different ways to do it. You just have to look at it and see how you can apply it to your business.